Welcome back to another ancient sketchbook tour. In this particular video, we'll be going over some sketchbooks from 2001 to 2003. The reason I've got several in this session is the fact that my drawings in these ones are sparse. I had a tendency to tear things out, and I also had a tendency to just not finish things. Something which has, fortunately or unfortunately, continued through even till today. So let's take a look. Ah, yes. This would have been a drawing that was built on the idea of symmetry and seeing what I can create. So these are human faces. We see these ugly lips and nose that looks oddly reminiscent of my own. And yeah, this was for a little class that I did probably after school in 7th grade. Lots of little drawings of different things that we would cover in the class. These are mountains and hills and things such as that. And then we move on to a Picasso drawing. This was actually a drawing where we were supposed to work on things upside down. I can flip it for you so that you can see what it actually looks like. This is actually from a Picasso piece, if I'm not mistaken. And this was built on the strategy and the idea that if we draw things upside down and copy them from that perspective, we actually do a better job because our brains don't know exactly what they're trying to do, and they just do a better job of copying the exact lines. We've got another one on the next page here, and the pages are going to fight me. This drawing also was done upside down. And I'll flip it back over so you can see this is the perspective that I would have been working on it from. And again, this would have been me at like 12 or 13 years old. I can see July 5th on here. That doesn't help me exactly with, well, I guess that would have been July 5th, 2001. Some very basic perspective drawing way back in the day. This was a contour drawing, just trying to draw a chair. The only assignment here was to draw the outline of it, to draw just the outline of the chair. If you've ever been in any serious art class, you know you have to do blind contour drawings, things like that. This was my first exposure to it. I felt like it was easy, if not a little dumb. This was no doubt an assignment to draw something that I found at home. You can see my terrible work on perspective, but again, I was just learning, and this, for all of you who are young, is a computer. This was an old computer. I can see the Apple logo here, although it's not, you know, great. I assume that's what that is, but this would have been a modem and a computer way back in the day. You know, if you recognize it more than I do, let me know. And I think most of the rest of the sketchbook is probably blank. We've got some attempts at eyes early, attempts at noses. Noses are very difficult because of all of the cartilage and all of the extra tissue there. Working on gridding something and bailing quickly, and then getting to things that I found far more interesting. You know, like skateboards and ramps and loops, like you would run into on roller coasters or Hot Wheel tracks. Working on more perspective. I believe this was from a classroom. I probably was supposed to have been paying attention at this point, and of course was not. This is a fist, a hand. Hands are hard. That is the start of Golem. I can still tell that. A Pokemon from the first generation. And at this point in time, I probably would have been playing Pokemon Blue. I don't think I had Pokemon Red to begin with. But I actually started playing the Pokemon series early, right when it initially came out. I think that's pretty much... Nope, that's not pretty much it. We've got some other things. Yeah, more Pokemon stuff. Talking about Pokemon that I liked, classing them out in some capacity, building tournament rings, logo designs, which I'm sure we all did a lot of when we were young. Ooh, we've got a creature attempt here. I have no idea what it is, but it's got 4 limbs. And 4 limbs is always cooler than lesser than 4 limbs. We've got a spaceship docking at a space station. We've got Kabutops, who is probably still my favorite Pokemon, even if it's just an infantile form of the sketch. Mew, an attempt at Mew, a little poliwhirl, and that's it from 2001. Drawing, summer. Let's jump into 2001, 2002. Ah, yes. We're going to see a lot of logo design based on bands and things like that here. As I mentioned in some of my other sketchbook tours from the ancient past, I spent a lot of time in middle school playing guitar, writing music, and daydreaming about being a rock star. And so there's lots of things in here that are going to be representative of that period of my life. You can see it on the next page here. Lmno was a band name that we contemplated when I was in probably 8th grade at this point. This was the point at which all my friends started to play guitar and drums and bass and things like that too. And so we started, you know, just daydreaming when we should have been in science class working on things. We were actually just, you know, playing with the idea of being in a band and doing things that were not lame science. Don't get me wrong, I loved science class when I was in middle school and high school, and I actually always loved science, but my science class in 8th grade was terribly, terribly boring. Actually, it was probably 7th grade that I'm thinking of right now. But the teacher was just terrible at teaching. I'm not sure why they got hired in the first place. We actually played around with this teacher by inserting extra things into our assignments that had nothing to do with the science that we were working on, just to see if the teacher would catch it, and she never did, and so lost all our respect. This is funny. I didn't remember writing this song in 8th grade. I thought I wrote it in high school. Before and After Amber was actually a song that we wrote. There was this girl that we all crushed on named Amber, who, you know, bless her heart, never knew anything about it because we were dumb teenage boys who just were fearful of talking to girls in any capacity. And so I didn't know that was here. You can see a lot of the skateboarding stuff on my very early attempts at drawing people and skateboarders. I think that's about the time I started skateboarding, which I still do today. Soon my daughter will be able to start going down that route and it'll be fun. So a lot of these drawings I don't remember. I haven't seen these in forever. This was not my drawing. This was a buddy taking over and drawing in my sketchbook. That was my buddy Dan, I'm pretty sure, who did that. This was mine. This was an attempt at drawing people, which is not terrible compared to the earlier drawings in the sketchbook, but people are hard. They're always hard. They're still hard. Again, we see the same thing here. Just trying early versions of trying to draw people and drawing girls because teenage boy. And then drawing an alien because you're not going to draw guys. You're just going to draw aliens and girls. That's way better than the alternatives. Another face that I abandoned halfway through because I was like, that's bad. Is there a page there? Yep. This also doesn't look like my drawings. I'm not sure whose they are, but you know, sometimes other people infiltrate your sketchbooks. I can just tell by the line quality it's not mine. That's mine. That's mine. I'm not sure who these other ones are. Ah, yes. This looks like it's based on Yu-Gi-Oh, but I'm not sure I was aware of Yu-Gi-Oh at that point in time. Who knows? Sometimes the sketchbooks span years. No trespassing and a really awkward squirrel beaver thing that's eaten over the sign. Good. Yeah, that seems rational. That seems like it makes sense. Final Fantasy VII inspired. So I was definitely at this point in time watching my good friend play Final Fantasy VII because this is 100% inspired by that. We're seeing a little bit of anime influence. I think by this point in time, I had become ensnared in some capacity by Dragon Ball Z, which was on a channel we were not supposed to get, but I could record it, and I would often record it. And this was, if I'm remembering correctly, this would have been the Frieza saga, where you get to see the first Super Saiyan. More anime kind of heads, obviously working off of Dragon Ball Z. Mega Man. Still one of my favorite game series. This is Sparkman and Crashman. This is from Mega Man 3. This is from Mega Man 2. Yeah, Mega Man 2, yeah. I loved copying things from game manuals back in the day. That was actually how I got a lot of my inspiration. This one's also from that, from Mega Man 2 or 3. This is a sketch from my good buddy, who I often still talk to about art. I'm pretty sure that's his. It's not mine. I know for sure. Something weird when you look through these old sketchbooks. You can tell the quality of your own pieces, and you can tell when somebody else was working on that. Early perspective, much better than the one we saw in the prior sketchbook. This is kind of cool. So this kind of started my fascination with bones and my fascination with subtle shading on pencil drawings. Something that has continued through all the way till today. Math homework! Anybody else do that? Your homework infiltrates your sketchbooks? More anime drawings. Phantoon, his little flaming eyeballs, and robots from The Lost Ship in Super Metroid. Still one of my favorite games. These seem mechwarrior inspired. This is not though. This is probably from the Power Rangers movie, if I remember correctly. I don't know which one though. More math homework. Something Mega Man inspired. More band names and band logo stuff. drawings from a friend that snuck their way in, drawings from me. Again, working off of that fascination with shading and pencil drawing that is going to continue for a long time. This poor chap seems to have lost all his limbs and he's being put back together. Maybe this was inspired by bacta tanks from Star Wars. I'm not sure. And we see some more Pokemon influence. Things growing up, things evolving into other things. Though these seem to be based again off of Super Metroid in some capacity. What a lovely game. No idea, but he's cute. And abandoned halfway through. And, you know, the titular Metroid. Because how can you not Metroid? And then that actually broke into more of like, what if Metroids were a realistic creature? And I played with this here. It's funny looking back at these old sketchbooks because I don't remember much of what's here, but every once in a while I stumble upon something that reminds me and puts me back into that state of mind. This is when I started thinking about world building and designing entire worlds. I'm not sure if this is where nether-void comes from, which was the first big fantasy thing that I started playing with. I did start it probably primordially in middle school. And I think we're still in middle school right now. Though we might be moving into high school now that I think about it. So I graduated high school in 2005, so I would have started in 2001. And this sketchbook is 2001 to 2002. So this is probably on the transition into high school. Yeah, just there's going to be a lot of weird world building stuff like that that's going to poke up. This is based on the band name Legacy. This is a drawing by a friend. Again, I can tell. So we are in high school now because I had some friends that I made that were juniors and seniors my first year who are much better drawers than me. And were quite inspiring. This is evidence that there was a sword of some kind that I drew here and I ripped out. I got better about that as I got older, but in my younger years, I tore things out a lot. This is most likely inspired by Naruto, where I started reading Weekly Shonen Jump back then. I would pick it up at the King Soopers that we had near us, which is Kroger if you're in other places in the U.S. And it's a grocery store if you're anywhere other than the U.S. So we still have some inspiration from Final Fantasy VII with the pauldron there. And then this is Daily Delight, which actually was our high school band. When we finally formed a band that was not just a dream, Daily Delight was the name of that band. And I think that band functioned for about a half year, maybe a year. My parents were super supportive. I got to play shows all the time in high school. So it was a punk band. We called ourselves a lot of different things, but really it was just a punk band. Just little perspective drawings from observation. We get more evolution things, or just more Super Metroid things. That's what that's from, I'm sure. And then these are kind of Pokemon and Metroid had a kid. These are early sketches for characters from my fantasy world. Still wasn't able to draw very well back then. Who knows? Yeah. Yep, more characters and early logo design. Skateboarding stuff. A taco? No, I didn't eat tacos yet. I was really picky back then. More Daily Delight nonsense. We had a joke for a long time about lmno being a band name, which you saw earlier, and I thought it would be hilarious to have it be an lmno. So it's like a elephant mixed with a minnow. And then there's radioactive stuff over there, because back then, from comic books taught us that radioactivity made things awesome. This is Zabuza from early Naruto, and yeah, more evidence that this is what I was doing. There's a huge jump in quality from this from the prior drawings to this drawing. I was doing a lot more copying now, and I had consistent art to work from. We were starting to actually get internet in schools now, so it was easier to look things up, which was awesome. And that may be the end of this sketchbook, though. I'm just going to really quickly flip. Oh, yep, math homework. Yep, I did that a lot. I tucked math homework into the end of things, so. Cool. So that was 2001, 2002 drawing. This sketchbook is missing its cover, obviously, and best I can figure, this is 2002, 2003. I'm not 100% sure. I have no idea what the stains are here. They look like coffee stains. I probably started drinking coffee about that time. Yeah, so more anime kind of stylings of characters. Still have no idea how to handle muscle or cloth. These electric things remind me a lot of some super, from Mega Man things. Ah, yes, these are so embarrassing. If I cared that much about being embarrassed, but these are just like early takes on like, what if I was making a movie or a comic or something? And so we've got all of these panels laid out, and they're so silly. Like if you pause it here to read through what's written, like, oh my goodness, it's so silly. But again, like it's important when you're young to start drawing things and have ideas that are more complex than you're capable of doing. That's how you grow. Having dreams and pushing forward and trying new things is how you grow. Fight! Transfer! I don't know what transfer means. It looks like he's Power Rangering and turning into somebody more powerful. Yep. Yep, and he's got some kind of lightsaber thing in his neck, and head is really weird there. These are obviously inspired by Kakashi from Naruto. And yeah, again, I had a lot of anime and manga influence in my early days. It was mostly manga because I was reading a lot of those things before the animes actually kicked in. So more character designs. The age-old shove hands in pockets because it's easier than dealing with hands. But things are improving, and this has kind of been how things have worked for most of my drawing career, is that the more time I put into a thing, I get better at it. And it's true for all of you as well. This is certainly not my drawing. It's beautiful. It's way better than I can do at that time. In fact, to do this from my mind right now would be difficult. This was a friend in high school named Richard, I am almost entirely sure. And this is a character from Magi Nation, a card game that we played that we really loved. That's a kunai, obviously from Naruto. This was mine. I can tell the quality is less, but also just my line quality is very different than some of my friends and how they drew. But things are growing, things are improving. And then I look at this and how low the arm is and how big the hand is. It's like, what are you doing, man? But my resources, I was copying a lot of anime, didn't know a lot about it. So this is also kind of inspired by Magi Nation, the card game that we put a lot of time into in high school. The idea of the sword and the staff for summoning creatures. Working on more anime stuff. Trying girls again. I've been doing a lot of dudes now. So, I mean, there's that. Swords and stuff. More anime little characters. Abandoning that whole page after a failed attempt. This, I'm almost positive, is a sprite character that is in nether-void, in my fantasy world building thing that I've been working on. A shorter character, kind of like an elf substitute. And if I'm not mistaken, as we continue to go through the structuring of things in this sketchbook, he will be probably the last sketch. He'll be right here and right here. Oh, not the last sketch. But kind of an elf analog, a creature, a race of creatures that lives in gigantic trees and have 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot. And they're a little bit shorter than normal, so less of the tall, elongated elegance that you see in elves, but kind of the same ideas. More one with nature. Character designs are getting a little better. Just a little bit better. And then we're summoning fire. We're going to blow things up, I guess. Wow, he's so skinny. Crying, weeping, biting, gnashing, running, trying. Yeah, interesting. Who knows? Maybe an attempt at poetry. Ah, my first Bic drawing in this. That's not terrible. Not terrible for like 14-year-old me. Oh, this is cool. So this is Rayje's construct from, or it might have been Rayje's construct from Magi Nation. This is the giant artificial like golem that the guy I played as utilized, and I loved him. I still love him. I would still like to do a large illustration of the guy, but this is the basic structure of what that creature looked like. And here's me trying to extrapolate again. Kind of struggling with that. Playing here, trying to figure out what would it look like from a 3/4. Who knows? Ooh, evil ent thing with a giant axe. B, C, and D. Who knows what they equal? I'm still wondering what they equal. And I think that's it. That's it. All right, so that was 3 sketchbooks from 2001 to 2003. I hope you enjoyed this. Again, the whole purpose of this is not to glorify anything. It is to show you that your art, if it looks similar to this and you are in the infant stages of your art journey, that it takes a while to progress from anything to anything. My art is continuing to grow and continuing to progress forward even now. So if you are feeling like the journey is long and like you just are spending way more time in it than you want to or than you thought you were going to need, just take heart, take hope, and understand that the art journey is a long one, and that you, if you continue to dedicate time to it, you will continue to improve. So I hope there were some laughs. I hope you found some of this amusing or enlightening. And as always, thank you for listening. Have a good one, y'all. See you soon.